It's you, it's me, it's YDT. It's not YDT, it's the Mortals. It's episode 221. That, my friends, is what you would call a habit. That's a good habit. I don't think it's like a bad one, like biting your nails after you just finished embalming. I did wash my hands after I embalmed, but still gross enough to stop. Nonetheless, this is The Mortals. This is a podcast which pulls back the curtain, takes on walls brick by brick, and exposes the hearts of those caring for those you love most. And maybe, just maybe over the weekend, your TikTok stopped. But then there's like, surprise, I'm just kidding. I'm back. I was about to go live on, was it Saturday? About to go live on Saturday night, and I was just getting kind of everybody settled, the kiddos, to sit down, sit still, sit down. And the app stopped working. It's not working. So I couldn't do that. And then I get texts from people today like, how are you? I'm recording this podcast on Sunday. And I'm like, I'm great. And they're like, how do you feel about TikTok being down? I'm like, I don't care, because I keep showing up for you. Like I am here and on YouTube at nathanmorrismusic and on Insta at nathanmorris and everywhere that I've always done so. And then magically I get a text that says, I'm kidding. So I go and open the app, because I hadn't even tried to open after last night. That's be Saturday. Anyway, long story short, I am being very like, I just got back from driving 4 hours, driving them home, the kids, and then driving back here and recording the podcast, which is totally fine. It's totally fine. But anyway, it's back. It was a big old April Fool's on January the 19th. This is the Mortals, and that is not something you're being fooled by. And we're going to dive into this big old punch bowl of love. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Let's go before I say something else stupid. The kids and I this weekend, we ran amok. They have so much energy, from upstairs to downstairs, the studio. Have you ever heard of the Shrexophone? I think I've talked about it before. I think I posted an Instagram story about it, but it slaps. It's pretty legit. Whoever did that, good for you. It was fun. I hid all the ABCs you could think of. We played Blook It, which is, the two older ones are brilliant, and it's embarrassing how little I retained after school. Maybe, just maybe, you're in the same boat as me. Have you watched the Nate Bargatze? That's how you pronounce it. That's how his daughter did. The new Netflix special. He's hilarious. He was talking about going to community college. He was like, that's set aside for people who probably won't make it out of their community. And then he was like, I took remedial classes. Those are classes designed for like 50-year-olds who haven't been in school in a while. And I had just come from school. I was making a joke about how I didn't retain any of my information. So I'm definitely in that boat. It was a great weekend. I hope your weekend was great. And if you are not yet a mortal, fear not. We have a brand new, but you are missing out right now. We have a brand new platform launching and website launching June. No, that's really far. I wouldn't have been announcing it, because you all forget. We forget things within like 3 seconds. January 27th, this coming Friday. It's happening. Is that when the Friday is? Is that right? No, that's not right. When is it? When is January 27th? That's a Monday. That's embarrassing. Nathan, you are not prepared at all today. You know what? I have scrambled eggs brain. Whenever you have 4 humans that are growing at a rapid rate, and you're like, you cook all the chicken tenders, all the ABC nugs, all the chicken fingers, all the spaghetti. You cook everything. You have cooked so many meals, and they just keep eating. Everything is a chicken nugget right now. But nonetheless, January 27th, brand new Mortals, brand new tiers, brand new perks, brand new website, all the brand new. You're missing out. You definitely have FOMO. You might want to head over right now to nathanmorrismusic.com and sign up for the newsletter. Yeah, go ahead and sign up, because you'll get announced. Well, the Mortals will first, but anyway, new website drops. That's what I'm trying to say. It's been something. Today is Inauguration Day, but not to be mistaken for Martin Luther King Day. And I want to address that because Martin Luther King, he didn't stand up there and say, I have a plan. I have a plan. I think I'll backtrack. Simon Sinek, I think is how you say his name. He had this amazing TED Talk years ago, and I watched it, and it really changed my life. Most companies, people, organizations answer what they do, how they do it, and then why they do it. And he said only 2% of the companies answer why they do it first, then how, and then what they do, and gave some examples. One was the company and the brand Tevo. If you remember Tevo, it was this thing that could pause TV and fast forward through commercials, and all reality, a pretty cool product and concept. But they answered what they were, how they did it, and then why. Well, they failed. They were an epic failure. Investors lost money. It's not even around anymore. And Simon attributes the fail to not answering why, the movement. Don't you just hate commercials? Don't you just wish there was this product where it could help you create this space and community of friends where you can gather and have good conversation and not be distracted? Well, what if you could fast forward through those loud, obnoxious commercials? Well, how are you going to do it? That was the why. Well, what if we have this box that can control how you can do those things, get to the big game or the big event that you all gathered in the first place to watch? What do we have? You want to just buy it? We're a company that makes this product. So they answer the why, then the how, and then the what. That would have saved the company. Martin Luther King, I have a dream that all men, like I can't quote it verbatim, but people would hop in buses and travel hours, and there was no air conditioning back then. Just packed white, black, brown people with little to nothing more in common, but realizing that they too believe the same thing. Because why Martin Luther King spoke up was because he believed that all men and women are created equal and deserving to be treated as such. And everyone gathered in droves because of the movement his why was creating. That is what we celebrate today, is a man who stood up and answered why he was doing it, how he was going to do it, and what he was going to do. And the what was pretty simple, is to treat others well. Now, simple in the sense of it's not rocket science, not simple in the sense of the efforts that Mr. King and those who walked along and worked alongside him went, like what they did. So I tip my hat to everyone who forever celebrates Martin Luther King and what he stands upon, the principles, the values. I too believe that all men and women are created equal, and love thy neighbor, be kind to them. So that's this day. It's a very special day. It really is. It also is Inauguration Day. And President Trump is sworn in as our 47th president. I think we've had this a few years ago. TikTok's back because of an executive order, apparently. So cheers to that. There's a lot happening in the world. I'm drinking some delicious Colombian coffee. See, I don't discriminate. Hispanic, black, Asian, white, Barney, I don't care. My hair is crazy. I'm looking at the monitor. I don't care about that either. But you can watch it. You can check it out. A lot of people, the moment TikTok shut down, went over to nathanmorrismusic on YouTube. It was really funny. The moment that the switch flipped last night, I was like, oh, I'm just going to see what happens. And I had hundreds of new subscribers over at YouTube. But yeah, you can watch this podcast as well over there. And when you watch it and listen to it, because you can do both, which is weird to say, but be sure to subscribe. Not only that, but hit the like button on the video and make sure you leave a comment. That's how you tell the algorithm, I like this guy. He's nice. Working on some new music as well. And of course, if you're in the funeral profession, I must tell you, I have the keys to the kingdom. I released them to you. It is Director OS, linking it now in the show notes and description. It is getting you outside of that templatized way of thinking, this cookie cutter approach, rebuilding or building maybe the value in ceremony for you. Maybe you're stuck in your ways. Maybe you haven't been permitted. Maybe you don't feel creative enough. And I have for 13 years been building this process, and over 18 months built the Director OS course for you to dive in. The keys to the kingdom await. I'm telling you, processes, people, experiences, it all matters. And all of it is there in Director OS. You're getting some awesome feedback from people who have taken the leap. Invest in yourself, invest in your future. If you're in the funeral profession, Director OS is there in the show notes. All right. We got a lot going on. We're going to do some 3 rando facts. Very rando. These 3 random facts are actually inspired by how it's funny when you're plucked from something, when you sit back, even at first if it's against your will, but then you realize there's some goodness here. Like, I'm going to sit and I'm going to learn and I'm going to sift and grow. It's interesting how when you watch, how people watch. When you people watch, you are able to enjoy and see people. And I'd like to think that when people watch, they're appreciating, finding something good. When I people watch, I do. I might get a kick out of something, and maybe somebody's pants are up their butt crack, some man's jeans are falling. I don't sit around and try to find something to make fun of. I mean, that's just funny, right? Big, no shame right there. If you people watch to make fun of, then, you have no place here. And again, I meet you here, whether you have much or little, you are accepted here. And I notice over time of people watching that there's kind of a lot of similarities. We're a lot more alike than we are different. And that kind of inspired the 3 random facts today, because when you don't have a lot of noise, you also start to notice patterns in people, because we act in patterns. We are creatures of habit. I get these a lot lately. Maybe I'm just turned into an old man. As creatures of habit, we have these patterns that we stick with. It's like it's who we are. And so maybe you've had in your circle of influence, or no longer, but you notice and recognize patterns in people. And so that's what I want to talk about. These are the 3 random facts to you, brought to you by patterns. I don't know. All right. Number 1, premeditated questions and responses are often a strategy for control in conversations. When someone carefully plans their questions and responses in advance, that can be a sign that they are trying to control the direction of the conversation. This technique is often used by people who are uncomfortable with uncertainty, or who want to ensure that they maintain power in a discussion. By premeditating what to ask and how to respond, they can steer the conversation toward topics that benefit them. This allows them to position themselves as having the upper hand. The premeditated nature of their question is a strategic attempt to shape the interaction and avoid the risk of losing control. This type of behavior is observed in personal relationships, business negotiations, and interviews, where the person is not simply seeking information, but orchestrating the exchange to achieve a certain outcome. This also leads to patterns of manipulation, where the person has felt like they are walking on eggshells or constantly second-guessing their responses. Do you know anybody like that? Maybe you do. Maybe not. I wonder how it's developed. Like, I wonder how it becomes that. I don't think everyone... I think it's in all of us, the opportunity, right? The ability, rather. It's all about a desire, right? Right? I think that's what I meant to say, like, right? I feel like it's in a desire to... I don't know. What are your thoughts there? I think everyone is inherently good. Generally speaking, everyone is good. They choose bad, or they choose to do a certain thing. And like, what makes them choose to do this, I guess? Premeditated responses are often used, this is number 2, to deflect and avoid accountability. For your random fact number 2, individuals using premeditated responses, they use that to avoid accountability for their actions. So they carefully craft replies, they redirect the conversation, deflect blame, or avoid answering difficult questions altogether. For example, someone might have a rehearsed response to any potential criticism, quickly turning the topic into something else or minimizing the issue at hand. Now, this is not necessarily a bad thing for number 2. This is where, if you go to PR coaching, for instance, I've taken some classes before. It's where, people put shit out all the time about things, or if it's you that is the brunt of the joke or the story, and it's going to steer or paint you in a bad light, you can genuinely or calmly or elegantly redirect it by going a different angle. It's possible. It's obviously taught. Therefore, that means you learn it. Therefore, that means the random fact number one is a learned thing. It's an intentional decision. So I answered my question there. This is interesting. We're talking about, of course, 3 random facts about premeditation. Premeditated questions reveal an underlying need for validation or confirmation for your fact number 3. People who premeditate their questions, they're often doing so because they have a strong need for validation or confirmation of their beliefs. They might ask questions with a clear idea of the answer that they want to hear. This can be a subtle way to reinforce their own sense of being right or validated. The premeditated nature of these questions reveals an underlying insecurity or a need to external validation to feel confident in their beliefs or their decisions. I think it's important to always want to learn and to never project this idea that this is the way. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Premeditated patterns. I think everything can be a premeditated thing, but I think that if you're using an opportunity, a thing, a story, a topic, a situation to craft multiple questions with multiple answers already planned for more multiple questions, then you got some probs. Is this tracking? I don't know. I think I just got on this rabbit hole of patterns, pattern behavior, and realizing people are not so complex, generally speaking. Complex in the sense of the intricate means of thinking and all that, maybe, but like all we want is to receive love, to feel heard. I mean, to eat, to sleep, right? I don't think and then it gets intricate when not all those things are aligning in a way. And then, yeah, I have, well, first, those are your 3 random facts. I have become a huge fan of the human brain and human psychology and the way that we think and the why. It's really fun to sit now. It wasn't fun. And if you're new here, I just snotted because that's what I do when I laugh now, apparently. It's disgusting. I have had some major life-changing events, which is amazing, and I'm grateful for it now. I wanted so badly to be this garbage man, and then there's a longer story on YouTube, but and then I wanted to be a magician, then a touring musician I was, and then I came home with my tail between my legs, and I went to the funeral profession. I was like, I'm going to be the best at this, and then you all found me. Maybe it was grief that connected us, or maybe it was the macabre, or however it was, you all found me on TikTok, which is amazing. That catapulted so much, and we'll talk about that. But because of that, there was this fork in the road where you can only do so much. You can't do and be everything for everyone. And so I chose this path of creativity because I feel most alive this way, but it came at a cost, of course. And magically, it's that noise, the noise dies down drastically. It's interesting. It's funny. It's like martyrdom. Anyway, but when you sit, because of all that, there's this opportunity nonstop to be alone. And being alone with someone who's experienced a lot of grief and trauma in their lives, it can be a very scary thing. Because being alone means quiet, and quiet means thoughts, and thoughts mean, oh no. So if you distract yourself with pretty rainbows and night out with friends and, dinners and drive-in movies, then you don't have to deal with the reflection. And so, over time, the point I'm making is you can befriend yourself, or you can run from self and sabotage and do whatever, unfortunately, a lot of us do. And learning to be with self and to sit with and to reflect upon and work through and get better is a beautiful thing and gift that you can give yourself if you allow it. And that's how you're able to see the patterns and the pattern behavior and the psychology behind why I think this way. Me personally, right? Sitting in thought and why did I do that? okay, well, and then you're able to analyze it and say, well, that happened to me as a child. Therefore, I grew up with this in my backpack and I made this poor decision and this was that outcome. And you're able to really put those pieces back together and to work through that hurt that you may have caused or the hurt that has been inflicted upon you. And you get better. And then you get these incredible songs from it. And then you get this sense of healing and then you kind of develop a passion for perspective, patience, promise. I'm trying to think of another P at this point. Those are real, but no, you you get you get this new view of things in life, and you kind of find yourself only looking in the windshield and not in the rear view. There are moments of being a human and looking in the rear view, but it doesn't help. And psychology is the most incredible thing. And learning why do I tick like this or why do we think like that? It gives you an opportunity to give people grace. And so I think learning and knowledge is the best. And I've been diving in like crazy. And it's been really interesting to get to know myself. Maybe you don't know yourself. I don't know. It's kind of scary too. It really is. It's weird because we're with ourselves all the time. Even if we're not in the quiet, we're still with ourselves. And there was a guy on Instagram. Don't know his name. I wish I could, give him a shout out. And he was talking about, think of some of the negative things that you say about yourself in your head. And think about if a little baby were being held in your arms, you were holding this baby and you're looking at it and you're saying the same things to that baby. And I would never. Right. Well, that baby is you. Like you have an inner child. It's amazing. Like there is a lot of study, especially for men. And there's this inner child is what they call it. It sounds really ridiculous, I know, but in all men, and that's kind of the analogy, I think, for what I was just telling you. This guy saying, like, you wouldn't scream at a child, little baby, and say, you're stupid, you're ugly, you're fat, no one likes you, you're a piece of shit, that kind of thing. Like, that's horrible to think like. If you think about that, you're like, damn, that's mean. Exactly, that's mean. And it's just really been life-giving to start telling myself a different story. And those of you who've been with me for a long time, and we've talked about this over at The Mortals, and again, you're missing out if you are not a mortal. I would love for you to join. You can subscribe to me over on Instagram or over on the YouTube, but we were getting ready to do some incredible perks and giveaways. You can find me all over the place is what my point is, but we were talking about this. We were talking about how because of this community that we're building, and that's what The Mortals is, by the way, it's like this inclusive, kind, compassionate one, how we've helped each other see ourselves differently. It's shifting the narrative and the story we tell ourselves. And I would like you to consider rethinking how you think about yourself when you're driving and you're mad maybe at yourself for how you performed or how you look or how you sound. I don't know. We can tell ourselves lies or stupid things about ourselves all day long, and it becomes the thing. So shift it. And lastly, before I move on, is I was listening to a podcast and this woman said on it, thoughts are things. And I was like, holy shit. And in the example, to go a little deeper, she said, look on your desk, and she's talking to the person that's interviewing her. What do you see? She says, well, I see a fork. What was that fork before it was a fork? She was like, stainless steel. And the woman said, it was a thought. I mean, before we were eating with our hands. Magically, this guy or gal, whoever it was, said, hey, what if there's this thing? What if there has to be this thing that we can create that eliminates this mess and helps you have an organized bite go in your mouth so you don't look like a baboon. And that became the fork. Thoughts are things. And that's with anything. It starts with a thought. So rewrite the thought for yourself. I do it with song, authentic approach. I don't care if the song ultimately becomes nothing. I still show up and write lyrics of things that I believe, thoughts that I feel that are good. Like, even if I don't feel bad, the outcome, the understanding, the realization that it will be good is drastically changing the way I think. I feel lighter. My face looks younger. My hair is still tall, and it looks so gray with this light right here. Right there, it looks so gray. Wow. Stress and negativity, it will kill you. It really does. It kills your spirit. So be positive, think positive. Thoughts are things. Keep that in mind. Before TikTok was shut down and then it's back, it's like, oh, I'm just kidding. We're breaking up. We're back together. We're breaking up. We're back together. If you found me from TikTok, I'm grateful for you. Thank you very much. And there's also going to be The Mortals is releasing a members only podcast. More on that soon. I mean, if you want me to spill the tea, then you might want to go over to nathanmorrismusic.com and sign up for the newsletter, because I'll be making a big old announcement this week. So if you already signed up for the newsletter and you're already a mortal, you don't need to sign up again. I'm going to be sending out details on how you can have access to the podcast. All right. TikTok was the thing for me. It catapulted everything. And then we were told, when you get into this creator world and realm, you're like, okay, well, you want to lean into the platform that's really giving you a lot of the love. And that's true, but I wish I didn't listen to that entirely, in the sense of, oh, I got to post 3 or 5 times a day on TikTok. Got a TikTok. For every million, they only pay like $100 views. Where you get 1 million views on YouTube, you get paid way more, which, if you don't subscribe on YouTube, that's literally, you are my label. This is how I make ends meet, and I would appreciate that support. But I still showed up. You all showed up, and we were able to create this incredible community. It meant a lot to me. The thought of it going away wasn't so much scary for me. It was just kind of like, okay, now what, right? I guess we got all these other platforms. That just also goes to show you can't put all your eggs in a basket. You got to keep diversifying, and you got to keep being progressive and what am I even trying to say, in the sense of, like, you can't rely on a thing, right? If you rely on other people, I was told they'll let you down all the time, and it wasn't their responsibility in the first place to hold you up. But if you rely on, my hair is like nuts. If you rely on people or things then you're going to be let down. And it's just your job to be proactive and on top of stuff. And, it's a thing. It's another tool in the tool belt, TikTok, but it's been an incredible one, and I'm grateful for it. I'm glad that maybe you were brought here because of that, and I'm grateful for that. And it's interesting. I mean, there are a lot of business owners and creators that make a living. It's what we do. This is what we do for a living, which is still crazy to think. Like, on any application, on any, I don't know, it's like, what do you do for a job? And you're like, a content creator. I mean, I've seen it. I mean, I know my good friend, they send their kid to private school, and they were there gathering and talking to some of the other parents, it's like, anyway, they don't know me, the other people. And they're like, what do you do for a living? And she was like, I'm a content creator. And they're like, oh, sounds like a fun hobby. Little did that person know this person is super successful. But it's funny to think about how you have to put that on application. It's still this unknown to a degree, but it's still something that everybody, I mean, we watch our favorite creators, and we go to our favorite platforms to watch our favorite creators. And for you to have chosen me means a lot. It's pretty cool, really. It's very cool. All right, I'm done rambling. Do you remember the little bit ago I said that I hide little Easter eggs in all my videos? You should go back and watch all of them. And here's a little Easter egg that I'm going to hide in something that I wrote. Wanted to make sure that doesn't give much away, but I want you to listen very, very closely to this. This is another Easter egg for you. In the quiet of the night, when the world drifts into uncertain rhythms, a whisper lingers through the air, carrying with it a tale of reflection and discovery. Some journeys are measured in moments, others in sounds that echo through spaces where time seems to fade. You've crossed many paths, each step leaving its mark, some clearer than others, but all connected by threads unseen. The air holds a tension, one that no one sees but everyone feels. It's the kind of pressure that builds without a sound, like a quiet hum beneath the surface. People may have heard stories, some might know pieces of it, but they haven't seen what lies hidden in the folds. The ones who claim to understand often miss the point, their eyes searching the wrong corners. Soon, something new will arrive. It'll cut through the fog, a sound that speaks only to those who know how to listen closely. For those who understand, it will reveal a small part of a much larger story, a melody for those who have always known the rhythm of silence. And in the quiet aftermath, only a few will recall what they missed in the noise. You can play that back if you'd like. That is a little secret. Are you a good secret keeper? Do you like to be entrusted with secrets? One thing that I always admired, my brother Aaron has a childhood friend, Adam, and I remember the story of him. I believe it was like his freshman year or something. Somebody came up to him and said, "Hey, did you hear what happened?" And before the person that was telling this or saying this could even continue, Adam said, "I don't want to hear it." Cut him off. And they're like, "What?" He's like, "I don't want to hear it." It's like the coolest thing, because he realized and noticed that this individual was probably going to gossip, tell stories that maybe had partial truths, some truths. And Adam had the wherewithal to be like, "You know what? I don't care. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to skew my view of someone or fill my brain with some nonsense that may or may not be somewhat half, kind of, maybe not all the way true." That takes a lot of discipline, because we like the thought of some dirt, right? Let's spill that tea. Spill that tea. Let's talk about it. I thought that was really cool, and it was a great example to kind of grow up and see from him and my brother, but also as an adult reflect back. I wanted to know that a young kid, like a young man becoming a man, was like, "Hey, don't be a dick." It's kind of cool. This is The Mortals, and there's a lot happening. I know I've released the Director OS, and it's been hard to lean into everything that I am. And I think that's all part of this shift that's happening within me and in life. And maybe you're in a season like that. It's like, how do I be this and do this? And, something's got to give. And I think naturally something will. I think in time, the things that we love to do and the passions that we have, they're refined and they ebb and flow. And one tends to kind of rise to the surface or maybe take precedence, but embrace who you are and what you love and all of just in all of it in the moment. And that's what Director OS is, and it's the funeral course that I worked my ass off to get out. And we've soft launched it, and if you're in the funeral profession, directoros.com, it's in the show notes and description. But the new single and the music, and I am absolutely, well, I'll be I'll be doing a live from the living room again soon. I'll just say that. I've already told the mortals that. Again, you know what? January 27th, a new website launches and new opportunities for some incredible, incredible perks. Go to nathanmorrismusic.com. You're going to see an awesome countdown at the bottom. You're going to see sign up for the newsletter. You want to sign up because I'm going to be making an announcement. And be sure to subscribe on all of the socials. I know we were jumped all over the place. We had some pretty heavy 3 random facts. You know what? Being calculated is not a bad thing, but I think do all things for good. And maybe you don't like yourself or the reflection that you see. You need to shift that story you tell yourself, because thoughts are things and you are worth it. Just picture yourself holding that little baby, and that baby, instead of being some little cute, innocent random baby that you would never say a hateful, hurtful thing to, you now are holding yourself and you're being nurturing and kind and compassionate and gentle with. You're not perfect. You never will be, but you are worthy to be loved. And I'm grateful for you because you could be anywhere. And you wanting to be here means a lot to me. This is episode 221 of The Mortals. I need a haircut, and you are loved far more than you could ever know. Have a ask. Why don't you go and stream a song and share it with a friend? I'll see you at the next one. Boop.